Who created God? It's a question that rattles the very core of our beliefs, a question that forces us to look into the mysteries of the universe. But what if the answer is something we've never dared to imagine? Stay with us. We've all asked questions about God's existence. It's natural, right? But here's the thing. There's one question that often leaves even the most devout believers stumbling in uncertainty. It's a question that, at face value, seems simple, but is far more profound than we realize. And that question is this: if God created us, then who created God? Maybe you've asked this yourself. Maybe you've heard it asked by someone else. But have you ever truly stopped to think about it? Stay with me. In this series, we'll take a journey together to uncover the truth behind this question. A truth that may challenge everything you've been taught about God. And I promise you, it will leave you in awe. But before we fully dive in, if this is your first time here, please subscribe, like, and share this video to help spread the hidden truths of Scripture to others. Now let's get started. When we look at the universe, we can't help but ask, who or what is behind all of this? If the universe exists, if everything in it is here, from the planets to the smallest grains of sand, then something must have caused it, right? There must be an origin, a first cause. That's where we, as believers, point to God. We say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But this raises a question that no one can easily escape. If God created everything, then who created God? Doesn't that make sense? If God made us, then surely someone must have made him too, right? Isn't he just another part of the creation, a part of the cause and effect system that we experience every day? Historically, many have tried to answer this question. Philosophers, theologians, and even skeptics have grappled with it for centuries. But here's the truth. This question doesn't just challenge the nature of God. It challenges the very foundation of how we understand reality itself. You see, when we ask, who created God? We are imposing our human limitations onto an infinite being. And here's the shocking reality. God is not bound by the same laws we are. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Pause. Right here, in this simple verse, we find something that completely dismantles our understanding of cause and effect. The Bible doesn't try to explain where God came from. It simply declares that he was before time, before space, before anything we know existed. Let me explain. We are bound by time. Every second, every moment is a part of our existence. But God is not. God's very nature transcends time, space, and even the laws of cause and effect. God does not fit into our understanding of time. He created time itself. He's outside of it. God doesn't need a creator because he is eternal. You see, in the Bible, God is revealed as the eternal, self-existent one. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Romans, says, "For from him and through him and to him are all things." Romans 11, verse 36. Everything in the universe comes from him, exists through him, and is ultimately returned to him. This includes time itself. Imagine for a moment what it means to be outside of time, to be in a state where you were never born and you will never die. God simply is. He has no beginning and no end. The Bible tells us that he is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, Revelation 22, verse 13. When God says, "I am," he is not referring to a moment in time. He is referring to a state of existence that transcends all human understanding. We, as humans, are creatures of time. We experience the world in linear, progressive stages. Everything has a cause, and everything has an effect. But God doesn't fit into that box. He doesn't need to be created because he simply is. God has no origin point. He is eternal, without beginning or end. And that's where this question begins to break down. The truth is, the question, who created God, comes from a place of misunderstanding. We think of God as just another thing in the universe. But he's not. He is the creator of the universe. He existed before time began. And to understand God, we must first acknowledge that his nature is beyond our comprehension. We can't apply our understanding of time, space, and cause and effect to an eternal, unchanging creator. But what if there's something even more incredible behind this understanding? What if the answer to this question, who created God, is not just an abstract concept, but a key to understanding the very fabric of the universe itself? Don't go away. The next part of this journey will take us deeper into the mystery, because the truth is even more extraordinary than we can imagine. Now, we need to dive deeper into that truth. We need to explore the nature of God, not just as the creator of everything we see, but as an eternal, uncreated being outside of time, space, and cause and effect. From the moment we are born, time begins ticking for us. Every second, every minute, every year brings us closer to death. Everything in our lives is connected to time. But God is not like us. God is not bound by time. He is the creator of time itself. He exists outside of time, beyond the limits of past, present, and future. God is not confined to any timeline. He has no beginning, and he has no end. He simply is. To understand this more clearly, let's go to the words of the Bible itself. In the Old Testament, God reveals his nature to Moses in Exodus 3, verse 14. When Moses asks God what his name is, God replies, "I am who I am." Do you hear that? I am. Not I was, not I will be, but simply I am. God's name itself declares his eternal existence. He is present in every moment, past, present, and future, all at once. He is beyond the constraints of time. He is not a being that came into existence or will cease to exist. He simply is. Isaiah 40, verse 28 says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth." God is the everlasting God. He has no beginning. He has no end. He is the creator of all things, and all things exist because he willed them into being. Now, let's consider something that might be even more difficult for us to understand. God is not bound by the cause and effect laws that govern everything else. In our world, every action has a reaction. Every event has a cause. But God, as the creator, is not bound by these laws. He exists independently of any cause. He is the first cause. Think about it. Everything we know had a beginning. Our world, our sun, our universe all began at some point. But God didn't begin. He simply is. And when we say God is eternal, we are declaring that his existence is outside of time. God is not bound by the limitations that we experience. And when we understand this, it becomes clear that the question, who created God, is actually a question that can't be answered in human terms. God exists outside of the universe He created. He is not just a part of it. He is the creator of it. Time and space are part of His creation. But God Himself is not part of that creation. He is the creator, the eternal I am. So here's the radical truth. God did not need to be created because He is not a part of creation. He is the creator. And to understand God fully, we must realize that He exists in a way that we, as limited beings in time, can barely comprehend. God is not just the source of everything that exists. He is the source of existence itself. And this is only the beginning. The nature of God is so vast, so incomprehensible, that it shakes the very foundations of our understanding. But we're just getting started, because in the last part, we will uncover something even more incredible, the ultimate revelation that ties all of this together. Stay with us. We've established a critical truth. God is eternal. He exists outside of time. He has no beginning and no end. And we've seen that the very question, who created God, is flawed because it assumes God is a created being. For centuries, philosophers, skeptics, and even believers have struggled with this. Some have argued that everything must have a cause. So why not God? But here's the turning point, the moment of truth. Not everything needs a cause. Only things that have a beginning. If something began to exist, it needed a cause. But if something has always existed, it does not need a cause. And that is who God is. He is the uncaused cause, the first and the last. God is not like the universe, which had a starting point. He is not like us, who are born and then pass away. He is the very foundation of existence itself. He is not bound by time, not limited by space. His existence is necessary. He is the very reason anything exists at all. This brings us to an ancient argument, one that has stood the test of time. It is known as the unmoved mover argument, famously proposed by the philosopher Thomas Aquinas. It goes like this: everything in motion was set into motion by something else. But this cannot go on forever. There must be a first, unmoved mover. And that mover is God. Science tells us the universe had a beginning. Time, space, and matter all had a starting point. But what started it? What caused the universe? If you trace everything back, you reach the inescapable conclusion. There must be something outside of time, space, and matter, something uncaused that set everything into motion. And that is God. In the book of Revelation, Jesus Christ declares, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last." Revelation 22, verse 13. And here is the greatest revelation. This eternal, self-existent God, this being who needs nothing, chose to create us. Not out of need, not out of loneliness, but out of love. This eternal God, who has no beginning and no end, wants you. He sees you. He calls you by name, and that is the most astonishing truth of all. So now we return to the question, if God created us, then who created God? No one created God, because God is the creator of all things. He is the first cause, the unmoved mover, the eternal I am. He has no beginning, no end. He simply is. This is the mystery. This is the truth. And this is the God we worship. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of mystery and faith. If you've enjoyed this video, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, seek the truth, embrace the mystery, and never stop exploring. God bless you.